you people, I'm Doodle the Doodle Griffin, and welcome to episode 3 of Doodling with Doodle. Last episode, I drew and talked about dinosaurs, so today's episode, I'm going to be drawing their mythological cousins, dragons. So grab a sketchbook or tablet and let's get doodling. Even though I have Griffin in my name, I actually really like dragons, and dragons are one of my favorite mythological creatures. Well, next to griffins, of course. Ever since I saw How to Train a Dragon for the first time, I was hooked. Seeing Toothless on the screen flying, especially in the test drive scene, is something I will never forget. And because of that, I grew up with an obsession with these guys. Let me tell you, it was pretty big. Anything dragon related, I wanted. I would buy any type of toy as long as it was a dragon. But can you really blame me? Dragons are really cool. Not only are they cool, but you can get really creative with them because of how open-ended they are. Like, there's so many different types of dragons that you can pretty much make anything into a dragon. The main type of dragon I was obsessed with when I was younger was like the Western European type. So I'm talking like wyverns or like the classic four-legged dragon with the wings on its back. Although as I got older, I liked the Eastern dragon more. I think it was because of like how graceful and powerful they can be at the same time. They just have this mystic air about them that I like. However, over the years, like all kid obsession, it kind of goes away or it gets less prominent. Don't get me wrong, I still love dragons, but the love for dragons turned into a love of mythological creatures, especially griffins. Just in general. Dragons are actually the reason why I got into drawing. I liked dragons so much when I was younger, I decided I wanted to make my own, and I've been drawing ever since. For this video, I'm actually redesigning my very first dragon I designed, and another dragon I made too around the same time. The first dragon I'm redesigning is the first dragon I ever designed, and her name is Fusion. Fusion is a lightning and fire dragon. Now for some context about that, when I was creating these dragons, I created them with elemental based power, so Fusion is a hybrid of lightning and a fire dragon, hence the name Fusion. Actually, both of these dragons I'm redesigning are hybrids. Actually, a lot of dragons I made are hybrids. Let me tell you, when I made these dragons, I made a lot, and I mean a lot. I had a whole binder at one point. Although quite a few of them got lost to time when I had to get rid of a lot of my artwork at one point because we were moving to a smaller house and I couldn't fit it all. I mostly moved on from that though. Well, mostly. Maybe I can show you the remaining of them all in the video, or just make a video of my old art sometime. But moving on to the video and ignoring the lingering grief of my lost art, the main inspiration for these dragons I created was actually two shows I was watching at the time. How to Train a Dragon, Race to the Edge. It's kind of obvious. And Slugterra. Yeah, I know, an odd combo. But I was also obsessed with Slugterra when I was younger too, so it was only natural to combine the two. A lot of you might not know what Slugterra is, so I'll give a quick explanation, but I won't go too much into it because it's not the theme of the video, and I wanted to actually have its own video. But in short, Slugterra is a show where a kid has to defend this underground civilization from the bad guys by firing elemental slugs out of a Nerf gun. I know it sounds ridiculous, but the show is actually pretty good and it could get epic at times, and I actually recommend watching it. But getting back on track without spoiling much, Fusion's powers was inspired by a combo attack from Slugterra, where the main character used a fire and lightning slug to create this lightning fire thing. That's why she actually has lightning and fire powers, and also kind of partly the name Fusion too. Now, I actually redesigned Fusion 2 other times, but though both of these times were a long time ago, and I'll throw some pictures up on the screen while I'm talking about it. And so it's kind of like my own little tradition to redesign Fusion every couple of years, although I think this tradition's gonna have to stop here, because, I kind of like how it ended up now. You'll see at the end. But I haven't redesigned any of the other dragons, so next I will be designing a dragon that I called, drumroll, Taser Metal. I know, great name. Younger me was just very, very good at naming things. Taser is another hybrid dragon with lightning powers, although instead of fire as the other element of this dragon, his element was actually metal, and that's how I came up with the glorious name, Taser Metal. I'm not just gonna call him Taser, because, I can't do this with a straight face anymore. Anyways, You know, earlier I said I came up with a lot of these dragons, and a lot of them I made before I made like this whole world where they all live in, this whole dragon world. Though I'll try my best to explain how like this magic and dragon system thing worked. Though it was a long time ago, and I never wrote any of it down. The only bases I have are a few pictures that I have remaining, so I'm gonna have to like guess on some of this stuff on what I was going for. But from what I can remember, the dragon species were classified under different elemental, and I use that word very loosely, categories. I think there's 11 of them, and if two dragons from different elements got together, they would create a hybrid dragon, a dragon of two different elements. Now that I think about it, it might have also been inspired by that mobile app game Dragonville, if anybody played that or even remembers it. I don't think younger me was as creative as she thought she was. But you know what, that's okay. Anybody who created anything when they were younger, like really young, because I think I was like 8 or 9 at the time when I created these dragons, would know that the original thing that they created was usually some sort of rip-off of whatever thing they were interested in at the time, or maybe a combination of things that they were interested in at the time. Okay, getting back to the whole magic system, like I said, I think there was 11 of them, and the only evidence I have of this, of knowing this, from when I had when I was younger, is actually this picture of a map that I have pulled up right here, and I'll throw up a picture. And the elements were ice, like plant life, or like life. Maybe I was going for a Skylander sort of thing. Metal, lightning, earth, fire, air, water. Pretty sure ice. Yeah, ice is right here. And then light and dark. And I think the last one, like this whole purple area, was illusion, I'm pretty sure. That's why I'm using the elemental word very loosely, because illusion it's not an element. It's not an element at all. Even with illusion, you can't get away. Like, I know lightning isn't an element, and a lot of these others aren't actually elements. But you can find them in the element. Illusion is... I guess you can find it in the elements, like out in the wild, but I don't know. I think I was wanting to throw something like a mysterious kind of class of dragons in there. So yeah, that was the whole dragon magic system thing, the world. Not a whole lot to it, because, I was 8 or 9 when I made this, so of course I'm not going to come up with a whole lot, but, moving on to the final redesigns and the artwork. I actually drew Taser first for, the final artwork. Since I redesigned Fusion on separate occasions, I wanted to start with Taser. And I have the original picture up in the corner so you guys know what I'm talking about when I'm going over the redesign. Like I said, Taser is a lightning and metal dragon hybrid, so I wanted all his features to be very sharp and angular. I also wanted to tune down the amount of lightning spikes that were on him. They were everywhere. Even along his wings, as you can see there. He still has the jagged spikes along his back, but instead of making them a really bright yellow like they originally, instead I made them a super dark, kind of grayish yellow to blend in with the rest of his scale colors. I still wanted to keep the lightning colored spikes, but instead of having it all over and including his wings, I regulated it to his horns at the end of his tail and the claws on his wings. How some dragons, have those claw-like things on their wings. I also thought it'd be cool if those parts were glowing, like they were electrified or something like that. And for the wings, I was debating if I wanted the underside to be yellow, but I decided against it because there was just too much yellow at this point. It would just look too much yellow, So I ended up making it a cloudy kind of gray ombre effect with lightning markings in it. I also made the wings look a little bit tattered because I think it fits with the whole vibe I'm going for with Taser. And that is Taser, looking fierce with his new makeover. Now let's move on to Fusion. For Fusion, since I redesigned her before, I had an easier time with her redesign. Like with Taser, I'll put up her original design as well as her 2 past ones as I'm designing her. And I'll keep them in orders of when they were made. When redesigning her, I knew I wanted to keep as close to the spirit and the vibe I was going with the original one, just with an updated design. Though with how simple it is, you may think it was hard. It actually really wasn't, since I kind of already did that with her second redesign. Fusion in her original design had a very narrow face, and also fairly straight horns. So I tried to keep that as best as I could, although it was kind of hard to tell since I made her mouth having open in the final picture. Though I made her horns even straighter, to give her head a more defined shape. When coloring, I of course needed to keep her signature red and blue color scheme. But instead of just giving her all one shade of blue with a few bits of red, I gave her some variety, and added some darker and lighter shades of blue. With the red, since there was already not a whole lot of it, I only kept the one shade of it. As I was coloring, I wanted to make her horns glow too, like I did with tasers. So since they're both lightning dragons, I decided that in my world, a trait of lightning dragons is that their horns, or spikes, or pupils, sometimes all of the above, would glow whenever they're using their lightning breath. Although for Fusion, her only horns and eyes glow. I made sure to draw Fusion in a pose where she's using her signature electric fire, and I didn't have any good ideas for background, so I just went with something simple. And there we have it, folks, 2 fierce-looking dragons. I'm really proud how these came out, and I love them both. Because, like I said, this is really close to me because it's not only the reason why I got into drawing, but also writing and world building and all that sorts of stuff. And it kind of makes me want to revisit all the other dragons I made, and maybe even rework the whole dragon magic system stuff, though that will require a lot of work and a lot of time, and even if I do it, it will have to be its own series. So maybe I will do it one day, just not anytime soon in the immediate future. But I'm going to have to wrap it up here. Tune in next week for another episode of Doodling and Doodle, where I will ABC y'all later. Goodbye!